Hello, everybody. Welcome to another AOP Tech Talk podcast. Got Jeremiah with us. My name is Brandon Green, and we're going to go over 10 things that we use, technology things that we use to help our customers.
I think I have about 10 things here.
Yeah.
If not, we'll make some up on the fly. All right, starting off with our first one, it's our network assessment. Whenever we first go into a business, we start digging through their network, looking at everything, seeing what servers are end of life. You know, people don't know much about their servers, to be honest.
Yep.
Unless you're in the tech community, you're not knowing what's reaching end of life, maybe what's already expired.
Yep.
You know, how it's interfacing with your system.
Yeah, servers they're kind of set up to run, and then they're put in the background, and they're just left there until they die. And there's multiple vulnerabilities. One, when it stays hidden like that, that's where that assessment comes in to say, hey, look, this is the current status of your network.
Right.
Here's your security vulnerabilities. It's not been patched for 6 months. Your hardware might. We did an assessment on a network a few days ago. One of the servers was 15 years old.
So in a case like that, what are we going to do for the customer?
Well, that one we're going to secure the software portion of it as much as we can, and kind of do general housekeeping. And then we're going to add the newer hardware in with the newer operating system.
Nice.
And then we're going to migrate a cleaned version of their network to the newer hardware.
Right.
So that way it has the zero network downtime. Users should never notice it. And then it's a server-to-server communication, so it happens pretty fast.
Right. And especially when you upgrade, I'm sure you'll notice a speed increase in the way your program runs, probably loss of latency and things like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. 15 years of technology.
Yeah,
difference.
in an instant, right?
Yep, you'll notice.
Another thing to go along with that, when we start going through their network, the domain rebuild. Like, usually it's a mess. And it's another thing you don't really think about unless you have AD access. In most places that I've been to so far, they know nothing about it. In fact, I said Active Directory at one place, and they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, how do you add a computer to your domain? They're like, what's a domain? I was like, okay.
It comes from, I think where it comes from, is over the years, no one has a standard IT department or service provider or whatnot. So they get IT guy A, and he comes in and does it his way, and then IT guy B comes in and does it his way. So you have all of these hands that have implemented 5 or 10% their way, and not had one partner have standards. So it becomes a mess.
It is. Quick. It's just like you see folders and you're like, why is this folder even here? It doesn't need to exist.
Yep.
Or there's just like a bunch of like disabled items in that folder, and it's like, well, who did this and why?
Yep.
Why don't you just delete them?
We had there was another one. They had 130 user accounts not disabled and not logged in 120 days.
That's such a security risk. Like,
on top of that, passwords were set to never expire.
Oh, so anyone just wander in off the street, they remember their old password. They're getting in.
Yep, that's where assessments help that tremendously.
Right, and I've been noticing that. But like the longer I work here, is that assessments help tremendously in just getting to know their network. And once we start setting it up to our own standards, just things start falling into place. You stop, seeing downtime and things like that. You hardly ever get tickets these days.
Yep.
Moving on to our next one is the firewall setup, which I think is a really big part of AOP coming in and taking over. Is setting up the Cisco Meraki with all of its cool features. It's really easy to set up too.
Yep.
But all the alerts that we get on potential threats and things like that, we get emails when it goes down, when it switches over to cellular connectivity, like there's never a thing that we're not alerted about. And you go through, and you've shown me before, we proactively block things,
on a country layer, an IP layer, on the type of traffic. And then we also take what we learned from one network and could implement it into our other customers.
Right.
So say somewhat like a certain IP address, 1234, tries to get into AOP's network. Well, we're going to take that address and also go block that on all of our customers as well.
Yeah. So do we take things that we've seen at other customers and just add it in just by standard? Do we have a standard way of just blocking things?
We do, yep.
Oh, nice.
So we can pull up the vulnerabilities and the threats in the firewalls, and there's options to block those right in there.
Right. Because I've seen that we try to proactively block ports and things like that. So, the network's more secure, especially on VPNs and things like that. You try to isolate it down to that one specific device that needs to talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Least rights needed. That's the goal.
It's so funny because at certain places it's just so broad. It's like, yeah, I gave them this whole IP space to talk to, and you're just really setting yourself up for a vulnerability there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's not only a vulnerability on your side, but you're at the mercy of that network as well. Like that, I don't know, your vendor or whoever you have that VPN connection with. If their security is lower, they get into that network, they have full rights to your network.
Right. And then they're like, whitelist this for us. And it's like, no, just get your stuff in order.
Yeah.
Another big thing that I feel like we do is a data backup when we first start onboarding is doing their first big data backup, because we don't know what their data backups look like when we first go in.
Yeah, that's when you're starting to migrate a network, you just want to have that reassurance that it's okay.
Yeah.
The second part is we don't know the last time they tested their backup.
Yeah.
So we got a backup and it tested positive, or the results say successful. But if I have to restore that, I don't know if it works.
I honestly don't want to try either. It's like I would rather have one of our backups.
Yep.
I don't want to plug in that external hard drive you've had there for years. It's dusty.
Yeah, ours are tried and true.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You find one sitting on the back of a server and it doesn't even plug in anymore. It doesn't work.
Did you catch the Slim Jim bottle on that other server yesterday?
Yes, I did. I like the resting on the. That's funny. That's something I haven't really thought about much either. Is the UPSs and testing them and going through them.
Absolutely. Like ours here at the office, we have them set up. I think it's every other week. They simulate a self-simulated power failure and then email us out the results.
Right. And it just makes sense to have that standard in a big business,
Yeah, absolutely.
That you never want downtime, right? And I guess that's our goal at the end of the day is zero downtime.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Moving on is data security through our AOP standards. Going through our standards book and looking at our GPOs and things like that. And once the network's managed, honestly, there's adjustment period, but it hasn't taken more than a week, I feel, for people to get used to it.
And they do, because once the person realizes that we're doing all of these things proactively and are implementing our standards to protect them, they like, okay, this does make sense.
Yeah. We're trying to help you out,
There was we were actually working on it this morning. Let me see if I have, So we're constantly doing research on new security things, new ways we can lock down and help people's networks. And we implemented in our new standards, which this is a copy of, there is 5 new sections or categories that we can lock down.
Yeah.
That will extend, how could you word that? It's tightening the control on these crypto. So crypto,
right?
We'll block something and they'll find something else or a way to get around.
Yeah, they'll keep trying to poke at it until they find a way in.
Yep, and that's what this is. This is us staying one step ahead of them.
Yeah, being proactive about it. You're not just waiting until something happens and you're like, oh, well, now we have to break fix.
Yep.
Trying to stay one step ahead.
Yep, that's exactly right. So this one, we've been working on this for I think a week, and now it's in our standards book, so all of our customer members will have to get this rolled out into their next month of standards.
And it might just be a little outage period, or it might be a little brief something, but honestly, it's going to keep you safe for years. And
if there's ever any kind of downtime, if we ever need to reboot a server or something, it always happens like midnight on Sundays.
Yeah, which is a great time to do it for like a business of any kind, really.
Yeah, normal business hours, no one ever notices.
Yeah.
Not at all.
And that's funny because hearing from customers, like they were like, well, our old IT company would just come in at noon and do it. And I was like, why would they do that? That doesn't make sense. They were like, well, they said we needed it now. And I'm like, well, you do need it now, but we can also just wait until the weekend,
Yeah. If it was that important, why didn't they do it before start?
Exactly.
Before work started?
It's not like we ever get like day 0 patches and it's like, ooh, that needs to go down.
Yeah.
And honestly, I find that once their network is managed, everything turns out fine. Especially the log off hours. I saw at one office that it started to log them off at 11:30 and they closed at about 11:30. And I was getting nervous. I was like, what if their work isn't done? But as it turns out, they managed to work with it, and they were just like, oh yeah, so it's like better work-life balance. They were just headed out the door. I was like, well, that's cool. That's a lot off my back because I was starting to get nervous.
Yeah, that's and we do the auto log off because most people, they'll walk away and the screen locks because of the power settings, but the computer can't log itself out for the servers to do its updates and patches and reboots.
Yeah.
So you're kind of stuck in this limbo world. So we do the automatic forced log off.
It's funny because you'll go into an office that we don't quite manage yet, and they don't have the security settings that we have. So they'll get away and they'll walk away from their computer. It's like 30 minutes later. It's still like I could have just gone behind you and started typing up emails as you know.
And they have admin rights on everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll just take over your network. It's fine.
Yeah, no problem.
A big thing for me I've noticed is that we do access points, and we do really good access points, which apparently come in a variety of flavors. But for the most part, I've noticed just a handful, just 2, 3 in a building. It expands out like a bubble. Like it's just everywhere. Like I can go into the parking lot and just start getting on my laptop or on my phone, and it's like, oh, I didn't even need to be in their office to start fixing things.
Yeah. Instead of it's kind of like a balance. I can put 10 little bitty access points in here, and then I have to worry about frequency overlaps and channels getting mismatched, or I can just get a smaller amount of more powerful ones, like extremely powerful ones in our case because we're AOP.
Yeah.
And then I can balance all of the channels, and it works perfectly.
It does, and it's amazing, like the difference that you notice. Once we replaced those Ubiquities at a place, and we replaced them with the Cisco's, like never heard about it again. Yeah.
No, we even went down in the number of access points we used.
Yeah, that's true. We went from 3, or no.
They had 6, and we went to 3.
Oh yeah.
I think.
Yeah, we really cut it down, and it's just like they were complaining when they had that many, and then you don't hear about it anymore. It's done. It's over with.
There's 2 people think, oh, I have a dead spot. Let me just plug another one in here, and I got a dead spot. Well, you're throwing channels on top of channels, and you're just having like
it's not a good system.
Yeah, it ain't gonna work like that.
And now you never have to hear about anyone's phone not connecting. You do have to hear about people not being able to play Wheel of Fortune on their phone, though.
Oh yeah,
because
it's not business related.
It's not business related, and I tried to say that, and it's like, and people will understand.
Yep.
It's like you can still use Facebook though.
Yeah, you can't get mad at me because I blocked Candy Crush on a corporate network.
I can't play Candy Crush on my network.
Yep, you have to understand that.
Yeah, you do. A big thing for me is our hosted servers. So AOP servers recently got an upgrade. New speeds.
Big upgrade.
Are you kidding me? I was here for it.
Yep.
I was impressed.
Yep, we went to a 10 gig backbone.
Yeah. And honestly, I didn't believe it myself at first, but once we tested on a virtual server, speeds that the speed counter couldn't even keep up with.
Yep. Yeah, it's fun when your internet, you can't test your internet because nothing's fast enough.
Yeah, you've maxed it out. You're confusing it with how fast it goes. Which honestly, have you had a business like come to you yet and say, "Hey, we've noticed a change in our speed"?
Oh yeah,
nice,
absolutely. So we have a few hundred websites hosted, a few hundred servers and customers, and there was some of the websites and things, it's just instantaneous.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were doing that for me the other day. You were pulling up, hey, look at this website. Look how fast it comes up. It's just like instant. It loads images and videos like just instantly. That's insane.
Yep. And that's just, it just provides better experience for the customers.
Right. And honestly, why wouldn't you have it hosted on something that just pops up pretty much instantly? There's no... You remember the old internet when you used to have to wait for a web page to load and then images would load like slowly afterward?
It's just instant here.
Yeah, we're clearly living in the future here.
Yep.
Yeah. That's one of the cool things about working here is you do get to see it kind of like evolve,
and
like,
grow.
The future's coming quicker than you think.
A lot faster.
Yeah.
Now that we have 10 gig internet.
Yeah.
And this another part of benefit of hosting is, say, some places you can't get 10 gig internet. You might only be able to get 100 meg internet.
Yeah.
But your servers need a lot of work, like traffic to operate. So going to a hosted environment, even though your office only has 100 mile an hour internet, your hosted one has 10,000 mile an hour internet.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of blend the two worlds as one to take advantage of, in a hosted.
Is that a popular thing for offices in the areas to have like kind of a hybrid network like that, where they have some AOP cloud hosted and some like local resources?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. A majority of ours do.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So a big thing is the big push to Windows 10.
Absolutely.
That's coming. That's January.
End of life. Yep. It's what do we have? A few thousand we got to upgrade already?
Yeah, it's coming. Especially the more customers you pick up, and we find out that they're, oh wow, so 7, huh?
And I heard a good analogy the other day. A guy was saying, imagine going down the highway at 100 miles an hour for the past few years, and then all of a sudden you just take your foot off the gas, and your car's just going to slowly start to coast and slow down, and eventually it's just going to stop.
Right.
That's Windows 7.
Yeah, it's like it's like people who still use XP. It was a great operating system.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but it is full of holes at this point.
Yep.
You need to move on.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess one of the last things I have to say is our layer 0. It's our people.
Yep.
Just talking to them and getting to know them, like they're a little uncertain when we first start out. They're shaky. They've maybe had bad IT experiences with other people, but when they're with us, it's you calm them down. You're like, here's the way we're gonna do it. I'll even show you. I'll pull it up on your computer. I'll sit in front of you and show you what I'm doing.
Yep.
You don't need to be nervous with us. It's gonna be okay.
I think the biggest difference when people start to work with us as their IT partner, our office equipment, all of it, is that we implement, we have that book, our standards book.
Yeah.
So to us, it's routine. This is how you build in network security, your office equipment, or XYZ, or this service. Whereas a lot of other people, they'll work with somebody who, hey, I have this problem, and they'll just send people over and they'll resolve that problem.
Yeah.
And then that's it. They're
You're
finished.
just break fixing. You're going in.
But I pay this quote unquote managed monthly bill, but I have to call you for every problem. It's like there's no standards and there's no implementation in process.
Right. It just doesn't make sense to keep calling someone back for the same issue that keeps happening over and over again.
Yep.
It seems like you could script it away or something like that. But I guess that's how some places just operate their business. Is you just keep throwing people at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what they pay us for, is to show up.
Yep. And they can have 5 or 6 people at their office, and you can say, do this one task, and they all do it differently.
Yeah.
Well, now you got X, Y, however many customers, and they're all different.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that just don't work.
But it works. I mean, it works for us to have like a set standard, because we go in and we know pretty much how every office is set up. Like, just due to the fact everything's standardized. If something's not working, unless it's a specialty program, which you can usually get vendor support for, you can just give them a call. But if it's our stuff, it's just, we've seen it before. We can fix it. It takes 2 seconds. Probably won't have to see us again about it for months.
Yep. Makes us faster, more efficient. And it's like we sign on a new customer tomorrow. There's certain policies that we do. It's like, okay, new customer, and it's just doop, 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 done.
Yeah.
It's easy.
That's I've been actually enjoying that part of it, is like going over like a policy with the customer. It's like, okay, so here's what's gonna happen. It might sound scary at first, but don't worry, we got you.
Yep.
It's gonna, in the long run, it's gonna help you out more.
A ton. I think, and that's what makes us different. I don't think other companies getting that. Like, hey, I just hired this new IT company, and okay, he's your IT guy. And that's it.
Yeah, he's your IT guy.
Versus us, we're having like meetings on what are your tech goals and where do you want to be in 5 years.
Where do you want to be? Like, what's your most important system? I love getting to know that part of it.
Yeah.
Like sitting down with them and being like, so what's your most business critical system? Like, what do I need to be worried about? Like, what do we need to keep safe? Give me some vendor numbers on that, Yeah. I'm going to call them. I'm going to find out more. I'm going to get myself a login.
Yep. And that's because we want to be, we're going to be a partner.
Yeah.
We're not just a
Yeah, we're not just IT, you know. I'm not just going to run in your office and plug in your network card, you know.
You disappear.
Yeah, I'm going to reboot your PC. Mission
At
accomplished.
lunchtime.
Yeah.
Yep. What else we got?
Oh, let's see. I'm running out of stuff. I hit most of my talking points, to be fair.
Excellent. Good one.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for the podcast. Another Tech Talk from AOP. Be sure to listen to us next week and learn even more about your network.